Hello everyone, welcome to Movie Talk. Today I'm going to be talking about Killers of the Flower Moon, written and directed by Martin Scorsese, the only. This movie was first released in festivals like Toronto International Film Festival and the London Film Festival, but it was only released worldwide in the 18th of October. And it's the new Martin Scorsese movie and it's great. When oil is discovered in the 1920s Oklahoma under Osage Nation land, the Osage people are murdered one by a mysterious enemy until the FBI steps in to unravel the mystery. Okay, so first things first. Yes, I'm going to be talking about what everyone is saying. Is the acting, is the direction, is the time duration? You're just gonna have to live with it. But first of all, time duration. This is a 3 hours and a half long movie, and for a lot of people, and me included, it is a lot of time. Like this time duration, the movie is really long, but for a lot of people, this movie was too long. For me, I agree partially. I'm gonna explain. I felt like these 3 hours and a half were just 2 hours and a half. The way the film editing was made by Tina Schoonmaker, this magician when it comes to film editing, this woman has made some incredible work with Martin Scorsese, but not just Martin Scorsese. And she is such a great film editor. I think she has won 2 Oscars for that, and she's really great. She made this movie feel like an hour less than it was. Unfortunately for me, the theater that I went had a break in the middle of the movie, which I hated. A lot of people were saying, "Oh yeah, thank goodness me, I needed a break," but I didn't want a break. I wanted to have the complete experience, the fluid experience that was the movie was giving to me. And for me, 3 hours and a half are a long time, but yeah, it didn't affect me. The movie was really fluid when it comes to the film editing, and a lot of other stuff made that this movie wasn't boring. These 3 hours and a half were well used, and it was really well made the way Martin Scorsese made this film. He had the story to tell for 3 hours and a half. It wasn't just I want to make a long movie. No, he had his story and he put the story into the script that made 3 hours and a half. We can see that he had a lot of stuff to tell us, and that's a lot of stuff made the movie be 3 hours and a half long, and I don't hate it, but I think that there was some scenes that were unnecessary. Maybe it wasn't unnecessary because if they weren't there, maybe the story would be incomplete. Maybe we would feel that like something was missing. And of course, Martin Scorsese wanted to make this story as close to reality as he could or as he wanted. So this movie is based on a real story from that time in that area of Oklahoma in the 1920s. And maybe if he cut this stuff, wouldn't make sense other things in the movie. But I think that there were some scenes that could have been cut out because they don't add anything to the story. But it's just some minor scenes that, yeah, you can leave it. I don't mind. I don't mind. Now, as any other YouTuber are making videos about Killers of the Flower Moon, making their review, of course I have to mention that the acting in this movie, the performances are so brilliant, I can't even express myself. Of course, the main three characters, that is Robert De Niro, Leonardo DiCaprio and Lily Gladstone, these three actors. These characters are the main characters for the story, so the actors have a huge impact for us to make a connection with the characters or make us interested in the characters. And I thought that these three performances were really brilliant. A lot of people are saying that these three actors, the weakest of them all was Leonardo DiCaprio's, the main character. He's like the protagonist, let's say that way. And I felt the complete opposite. I think he was the best actor there. I think he delivered the best, and I think that, of course, for the runtime of the movie, he has the most appearance. Like there are little scenes where he is not in there. When he is there, he makes such a great. I don't want to say performance. I want to say he makes such a great presence. Like we feel Leonardo DiCaprio's character. I think his name is Ernest. I think that a lot of people are not acknowledging the acting of Leonardo DiCaprio because he's making a complete different character that he's ever made. All of his characters are like charming. He's clever. He's a bit naughty. All of his characters are like that. But this in this movie, he makes a dull person. He makes a guy that they even say that he doesn't have a lot of intelligence. He's not really that smart, and I think that because of that, a lot of people are saying that it's not the greatest performance of Leonardo DiCaprio. Maybe it's not the greatest of all time of Leonardo DiCaprio, but it's definitely right up there. Then Lily Gladstone and Robert De Niro, like they are so great. I loved the presence of Robert De Niro's character. Like he is this kind of character that it's not completely black, but it's not completely white. Like when I say this, I'm not talking about the color of the skin. I'm talking about the choices of the character and his feelings. Like he's not completely bad, but he's not completely good, of course. It's this kind of character that Martin Scorsese works so well on all of his movies. And now talking about Martin Scorsese, what a great film! Like he makes such a great direction. He loves putting actors on their comfortable position on their characters. He wants the actors to feel like their characters. He wants the actors to make the best performance, and that's why every time we see a Martin Scorsese film, we can always say that the actors are great. Even if the actors aren't that great like on other films, on the Martin Scorsese films, like they're gonna deliver. I watched this movie on the theater, and as I said, my experience was a bit ruined. I'm not gonna say it was completely ruined, but it was a bit, I felt a bit bad when there was a break. I wanted to have the complete experience, the fluid, but the experience on the big screen, I just love going to the cinema when these movies pops up. It's a honor to have a Martin Scorsese film nowadays. Like he's really old. He's more than 80 years old, and he's still making movies. He's still making great movies. Like he's not like Ridley Scott. I think that there are a lot of movies nowadays that don't go to the cinema, maybe because they don't have the budget and they went right up to the streaming services. But I think every movie should have the opportunity, the chance to go to the cinema, to the theater, because every time we go there, like every single movie is going to feel better in the cinema than it is at home, because at home there are a lot of distractions. At home you're not seeing the big screen, you don't have the sound quality as the cinema have, and you're not on the room with all the lights closed and you only see the screen. It's an amazing experience to go to the cinema, and this movie, I really felt the experience. The cinematography is beautiful, the sound quality, the sound design amazing. Everything in this movie is almost perfect. I don't want to say it's perfect because definitely isn't, but it's an amazing experience. I loved going to the cinema to watch this movie, and it's definitely one of the best movies of the year. The only reason I can't say this movie is perfect is towards the end of the movie, like the last 30 minutes were a bit disappointing because the outcome of the movie, it's not really the ending itself. Like the outcome is amazing. I got really depressed by that. I wasn't expecting, but the ending, like those last 30 minutes were a bit disappointed because things started to get less interesting. If you've watched this movie, you know what I'm saying. Like that ending parts of the movie are not as great as the first act or the second act. Like this third act is not as interesting as the other two. When I was watching, I was thinking like they could cut out that of the movie, but it wouldn't make sense cutting that out. And not just for the story itself, but for the respect of the real story. But maybe not cut out, but make a shorter cut, make that scene shorter, because I was feeling a lot for the relationship of Molly and Ernest, the protagonists Leonardo DiCaprio and Lily Gladstone. I was really interested in their story, and not just the romance of the movie, but the crimes and the thriller. That part of the movie, I was really loving it. And when it came to the ending of the movie, I wasn't as interested in the story as I want it to be. And that's the only reason I don't think this movie is perfect. I believe that 10 out of 10 movies don't need to be perfect, but I don't think this movie is a 10 out of 10. For Killers of the Flower Moon, I give a 9 out of 10. And this was the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Go watch this movie, please, because it's an amazing experience, and not just as an experience, but as a film. Is an amazing film. I loved it. Right up there on my top 3 of the year, maybe even top 2, and maybe even top 1. I don't know. I'd have to think, because Oppenheimer and Killers of the Flower Moon, like, for me, I love those movies. They touched me in different ways. Were 2 ways that I completely loved. I completely love these movies. So go watch this movie, make your own opinion, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.